So today I'm sitting down with Mark Warner, the National Sales Manager with the Bullen Companies. Mark, how's life going?
Very well, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We're going to talk about a project that you've been involved in, I guess a white paper of sorts that might change the industry a little bit, maybe some viewpoints. Tell us about that. Who's involved and what's coming our way?
So the industry needs some changes. You know, there's some things that haven't changed in 50 years. There's things that haven't changed in 100 years. Hell, the mop bucket was first designed in 1605.
Had no idea.
Just for the record. But, you know, one of the things that's been a problem for years, and I do a lot of work talking to architects, and that is what goes into the design of a new building and how does that relate to the care of the building. So we've always referred to these rooms called custodial closets.
I know what those are.
Unfortunately, most architects make them a closet.
Like closet.
They can hang your jacket in there, but you know, you certainly aren't going to park an auto scrubber in there. So that's a paradigm that needed to shift.
So what have you done?
So couple issues. Number one is the architects have not necessarily been allocating the right amount of space for
The mop bucket from 1605.
five-ish. But the reality is a lot of them are using a formula that is a percentage of overall square footage, and that's inadequate. It might not allow enough space to park an auto scrubber in it. And I've been into a lot of buildings where there's a custodial closet and a power cord coming out and an auto scrubber sitting in the hallway charging up. And the reason for that is not enough room to put it in their custodial closet. So this all needs to change. So at the starting point, we want to change what it's called.
So you're going to call it the custodial storage room?
No,
Yes.
that's a good guess.
Okay.
But we're going to call it the cleaning provision area. And each of them have specific terms. It's an area. It's not a closet. It may not even be defined as like an office or a room. There are certain requirements that it has. It's a provision area, since supplies are defined as normally things like cleaning products, chemicals, toweling, tissue, can liners, right? But there's other things that go in there, and that's the equipment and the tools. The mop bucket we joked about, but also squeegees and brooms and brushes and everything else. So provisions more adequately defines what's going in there, and of course, to further define what provisions we're talking about, it's cleaning provisions. So we really propose to change the entire world in one fell swoop on Straight Talk by saying that the new word is cleaning provision area.
Straight Talk. Cleaning provision area. Who came up with that?
So, and I'm glad you asked that. So there are a couple folks that have been bantering for years about the flaws with custodial closets. I've been one of them. A gentleman by the name of Stan Hewlin, who's an independent consultant that does a lot of training with both ISSA and IICRC. He's been bantering around about the problems with custodial closets. And then another guy named Todd Stoneking, who's works for the University of Utah, who sits on the same standards committees that I do, the S400 Cleaning Standard Committee, and he got going. Oh boy, did he get going. So the three of us decided, let's not just complain, let's do something about it. Let's see if we can get a new standard built around what a cleaning provision area should look like. But as you know, you can't really just go out and say, oh, I'm going to write a standard. So what you do is you actually write a white paper and you define it very, very detailed on what you're looking for area sizes, what the requirements might be, what the floor type is, how wide does the doorway have to be, does there need to be ventilation, does there need to be adequate lighting, all of the things that need to go into a cleaning provision area. And by writing the white paper, we're able to put in place something that can now be referenced by standards as they continue to be developed. Both ISSA and IICRC are very active in developing cleaning standards, and by having this published document, it can now be referenced and help, hopefully, architects, building designers, and it's not just new construction, Jeff. It's a lot of refurb happening with existing buildings. And one of the things that gets overlooked is, you know, maybe we need to have a room to store our cleaning stuff.
Yes, important topic. Now, when you think about that custodial closet, and you mentioned refurbishing and architects ought to be involved, that's a big deal to make them bigger, to take up that, increase that footprint. Do you see that being embraced by the industry? Do you see challenges?
The challenge is to look at it as a tying up square footage. That is a short-sighted look, however, because the care of the building ought to take precedence. The value of the building itself, the flooring systems. I've been in buildings whose lobby floors cost more than my house. Right? Just the lobby floor. So
good point.
When you're talking about maintaining and caring for an asset of that value, it would be neglectful. It would be remiss not to incorporate some way to care for it.
When I saw the white paper, and good work with that, the three of you that did that, and I saw the length of it, I'm like, this is about custodial closets. Why is this 3,000 words? But from your description, there's a lot more to it. Anything in the development of the white paper, as you put this together, the three of you, that surprised you or was interesting?
A lot of it. So we started off really just complaining about custodial closets. And so the first page or so is kind of more of that history. And the answer to it was, well, let's define what is the size area you really need. What's the average size of an auto scrubber? What's the average size building that would require an auto scrubber? What else needs to go in there? A mop bucket and wringer. How much wall space do we need to have available? Are we hanging mops so that they'll dry? Are we hanging brooms?
A lot of questions.
How much shelving should we have in there so we can store supplies like cleaning chemicals and toweling and tissue and can liners? And how much ventilation should be required so that it doesn't turn into a mildewy smelling room that stinks up an entire building? How much ventilation should be required? How much lighting should be required in that room in order to provide lighting so that things can be safely gathered together? So all of this surprised me. The fact that there was such deep discussions on what might be required, and that's why I think it's so valuable, Jeff, because I have not found, nor has Stan or Todd, found any other documents that go into that level of detail. And Todd Stoneking, who had a lot of input on this, working with the University of Utah, they're in the process of both building new construction and revamping existing buildings. And he was looking for some somewhat professional opinion on what size should these cleaning provision areas be.
You almost said it. Custodial closet? You
I almost said it, yeah.
It's not a bad word. 2 words.
Not a bad word, but custodial is a reference to one element of the frontline worker, whereas a cleaning technician could also relate to frontline workers with specific training and certification, or a supervisor, or a team leader, or even an executive within a cleaning company. So custodial on its own may not reference all the people like an architect that you want to reach with what it's about. And the word closet,
yeah.
You know, if somebody said, design me a closet, are you thinking sinks and water flow and airflow and lighting and ventilation and HVAC and special floor types?
No, I'm thinking of where to hang my tux.
Where do you hang your, well, I was thinking more of a jacket, tux.
Okay. So Mark, as you develop this, any challenges, any opposition as people heard about this, or is it just a good idea?
Well, it never existed before, so what I love about it is it's going to start conversation. Not one of us, not Stan, not me, not Todd, are claiming to be the know-it-all subject matter experts on what's necessary from an architectural design of a building. However, all of us have experience within the cleaning industry, and some of us many years, and I won't say how many my years were.
That's okay.
But it's the idea of getting input like that as to what we've found over the years to be the shortcomings, and hopefully it'll generate some discussion. And people, Jeff, may find this is spot on, in which case we'll go, booyah, we nailed it.
Might be the case.
Or they might say, hey, you know, all this looks pretty good, but you maybe want to add something about this or that. We'd be wide open for that. But more importantly, somewhere around the beginning of next year, Jeff, this is going to be a referenced published document that is being referenced by standards, and that's big deal.
That's what you want. That's the end game.
It's the end
Get it into the industry, accepted, referenced. All right. Well, I don't think
This
we
was
can.
fascinating, right?
It
You have
was.
to admit, have you ever heard anything so fascinating?
Nothing more exciting than talking about custodial closets. I mean,
So with
provision,
that though,
cleaning provisions.
you recently did
areas.
a straight talk with Mike Sawchuk, and you talked about the value of a custodial closet and how it reflects on a building, right? If it's not clean,
What's it
how
look
can the
like?
building be clean?
How's it organized?
And seeing that after we had already started this project, we started this project in 2021.
Okay.
So seeing that meant that maybe we're on the right track. Maybe this is an issue that's, about to ripen.
I agree. It's an issue. Something needs to be done. Either
And
clean
we're
your
just
closet
the people to do it.
or reprovision it, whatever you do. So, Mark,
This has
thank you
been
for your
great.
time, and we'll see what happens, and good luck to you.
Thank you.